Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tintin here, and today we are doing something a little bit different. I played in the side deck regionals this weekend, yesterday specifically, Sunday, August 21st, and we ended up going undefeated the entire night until round 7. We ended up with a top 4 finish playing this deck you're seeing right here on the screen, branded Eldlich. Before I go into what my matchups were and everything like that, just a few shout outs, mostly to the my good friends in the Zodiac Discord, whether it be Robbie and Rated, everybody in the crew, Home Depot, all people that are just like helping support me and everything like that. And Rated really came in clutch and let me use and has pretty much gave me all the cards to complete this deck you're seeing on the screen to compete in this regionals. And this deck overperformed. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So before we get into the list, I just want to go ahead and go over our matchups because they were crazy. Round 1 we got paired against Tier Limit and we ended up going 2-1. So we beat Tier Limit, and unfortunately the third win, I mean, we had it in the bag anyway, but it was also due to a camera disconnect in round 1 for my opponent, which was awful, but at the same time, I think it was pretty academic as it was with us, because we just had the gas that we needed and the resources we needed to just pretty much blow through anything that they had. Round 2, we went up against the Adventure Pile, which was like the meta deck from the last format, and I'm not sure if it was the Sangan Turbo version or not. They really didn't get a chance to do much. We 2-0'd them. Round 3 was against Live Twin Sprite. We went 2-1 against them as well. Sunny Snitch is honestly an annoying card, especially when you're fighting for time and everything. Burning for 200 to summon while they gain 200 is utterly annoying, but we were able to persevere through that. And then rounds 4 and 5 were both against Pure Sprite, and we 2-0'd both players, which was really shocking to me, just how easily Eldlich can deal with the Sprite board, because they don't have an answer to every floodgate, so we were able to just floodgate them out and then just hit for big damage. Round 6 we played against Tier Limit, Table 1, like most of my matches were for the day, and we went 2-1 against Tier Limit. I crooked cooked them in game 3, thinking I ended up having game. Then I realized, both me and my opponent realized, that Tier Limit can just go ahead and infinitely recycle their cards back into their deck. So on the fly, I ended up having to go ahead and OTK with Crooked Cook on board, and we were able to do it, which was so fucking funny. And round 7 was the most heartbreaking round of them all. We were undefeated, fighting for the win for the regionals. I was in winning position for game 1 in this match, and then Discord decided to disconnect me, and I was not able to reconnect instantly because the room was full. Because viewers were watching, there was a judge in there, and room was full. So because it took me about 15 seconds to reconnect, I wasn't able to continue that match, and I ended up losing that game. And then game 2, my opponent opened Feather Duster and full Sprite combo. I wasn't able to break it, so it was a big sad issue. But all in all, we placed 4th with this amazing deck. So let's go through card by card real quick, just to go over what we played this weekend. So first off, 1 Dogmatica Ecclesia. I would not play this deck without Ecclesia. Being able to get a special summon and search for your punishment is one of the greatest feelings in the world, and especially if you're able to get it off Nadir Servant by pitching one of your many cards in your extra deck for advantage. It was the most wondrous feeling. 2 of the namesake of the deck, the big sassy Golden Boy. I mean, we got DD Crowed once with Golden Lord, and then we were very careful throughout the rest of the event on how we decided to abuse Golden Lord and just be sure that we either always had one in deck or unless we were like pushing for a game or something like that. And then 2 Fallen of Albaz for the branded fusion engine. Really, Fallen of Albaz is amazing in its right, because it's technically like a super poly. It's a really bad super poly, but it did come up once during the event. We fused one of our opponent's fusion monsters into Mirror Jade, which was really cool. But mostly we play it for this card right here, one of the best cards in the entire deck, Branded Fusion. It is just a way to foolish burial our Eldlich, which is one of. I mean, if we can turbo our advantage with Eldlich, that's all we really need, because one Eldlich engrave instantly makes it live for the rest of the duel, and beautiful. The one thing I was able to do, we got the one called by the grave here. Best feeling in the world is called buying a toad when your opponent has elf on board, but you have no monsters. So we were able to power through an entire board like that and just wind up OTKing and just controlling the game from there. Triple Cursed Eldland, I'm not going to lie to you, I would side one out almost constantly, but I wouldn't play this in the main deck at any less than 3. You want to get your resource loop going, you want to try to get advantage as soon as possible, and I think Cursed Eldland is the best way to do it. Honestly, the 2 Nadir Servant, Nadir Servant pitching something like Garura for the extra draw on that, you're pretty much just activating Engage when you activate Nadir Servant at that point. Or sending the Fairjet to do about the same thing and mulligan a card back. Amazing. Now, I'm torn on this. I'm poor, so of course I'm playing Pot of Extravagance. But, I mean, the case is that Pot of Prosperity would essentially be better since you are playing the branded engine. That way you can cherry pick what you banish, but at the same time you also got to remember you're playing Eldlich at the end of the day. So any resource is a good resource for you. And then we got Triple Horsey Boy here because non-targeting pop is amazing. You've got the double Dogmatica Punishment, which normally you'll send Entis off of so you can get a double pop unless you're playing against something like Tearlament, which will get an effect off of it. And then you've got your main tutor here, the only Eldlich we're playing, which is Scarlet Sanguine, technically the only one that you need. Just being able to get your Lord on board as quick as possible and then using the Eldlich cards for their resource loop is what the deck is about. The one Wakanda Forever, Goldman Forever, is such an underrated card. It single-handedly won me a game after my opponent had the rank 2 Soul Sweeper monster on board in Sprite after I had locked him into Darks. So they went to try to banish my Eldlich again. I had drawn that for the turn previous. My Eldlich came back during my end phase. I flipped that over on their effect and was able to take game from there. Now the no fun cards, starting here with Goes in Match. Most decks have a very piss poor time of playing through something like Goes in Match. So this was just like one of the funniest things to do to an opponent that pretty much cemented our win. Because we didn't need Goes in Match, or we can play underneath Goes in Match. We don't care. And then, honestly, I feel like Hawquero should necessarily be a 3F for this format, with Tearlament being what it is right now. And especially when the Ishizu support comes out, Tearlament's going to be, like, probably the deck to beat. So Hawquero will be, like, the card for you to use to go ahead and banish the Tearlament cards so they can't use themselves to poly. And yeah, I digress. For this event, 2 was fine, but I think going forward, anybody playing Eldlich might want to try to max out on this, or at least side deck the 3rd, because it's definitely gonna come up. Rivalry of Warlords, same thing. I can't tell you how many times yesterday anyway, that I was playing against Tearlament and locked him under Rhino Heart for Warriors. They legitimately could not do anything, and that's one of the funniest feelings in the world. Paired with Skill Drain, Skill Drain is the reason to play this deck right now. You can play under Skill Drain, you stop everything your opponent does, and it's just a great feeling. Like, it's fun for you, but this is the no fun deck for your opponent. And now finally, rounding out the main deck, the one card that underperformed for the entire event, there can be only one. I played it and flipped it probably once throughout the entire event and really didn't care for it. It's a necessary evil against stuff like Sprite and Tearlament and whatnot, but this card really is cuttable. I saw myself like siding it out mostly, like either 1 or 2 copies of it, keeping the 3rd in just in that off chance. But yeah, this is like the weak spot of it, because like it doesn't do too much for you because you're locked under the zombies, or you're locked with only 1 zombie on board, so you can't really benefit off your Hawquero or your Conquistador. So it's like a double-edged sword, but there are still ways to play around it in the deck. Let's go over the side deck. The funny thing here, we've got the triple Buzzsaw Shark, one Right Hand Shark, and one Foolish Burial. The Foolish Burial was a last minute inclusion for the deck to help turbo out the Shark engine so we could go into the indestructible Crooked Cook, which we did summon once during the entire event. We thought we had the match wrapped up, then we realized we were against tier limit, and they have the infinite resource loop, so we had to find the way to OTK through that, which we did. We are playing the 2 Lava Golems so we could tribute over opponents' monsters. We are playing Sphere Mode's right and left testicles so we could tribute over monsters. We have the Feather Duster, the Super Polys, which are mandatory. Honestly, if I had the third, we probably would have been playing 3 for the event because it's such a great card for everything, especially since Garura is a card that was released in Pote. And then triple of Old Man Say No. I used this once during the entire event. It didn't come up too often, nor did I see it often when I did cite it in. But, I mean, still a staple, still mandatory to have in the sideboard at least. And now finally, the extra deck. We are playing double Albion. I can't tell you how many times this actually got either Veilered or Impermed or whatnot. Honestly, it's another body on board. If we can get to the Mirror Jade, perfect. If we don't, we already accomplished what we wanted to do by getting the Eldlich into the grave. We've got double Elder Entity Intis, which, again, just for the pop off of Punishment, off a Nadir Servant, what have you. An amazing, amazing card to do. We're playing Eldlich the Mad Golden Lord. I never summoned it once. There are moments where theoretically it could come up as like a super poly target in a mirror or against a zombie match, but I never summoned it once. It's just nice to have there, and if anything, it's a 3800 body to send off a punishment to get rid of a hard to kill monster. MVP of the entire deck was Garura in this side deck. Or in this extra deck, excuse me. Garura, whether it's being pitched off of Nadir's Servant, whether it's using it as a target for Super Poly to summon with your opponent's monsters, either way, this card was amazing. I recommend anyone not playing this card, what the fuck are you doing? You need to play this card. We are also on double Mirror Jade because, yeah, why not? Like, resolving Albion to get a free non-targeting banish, count me in. Plus, it sends for cost, so you're getting resources back anyway, whether you're sending, like, the Titanclad or the other Albion, you're still getting the resource loop regardless. We're on the 1-Starving Venom for the Super Poly target as well. We're on the Titaniclad, so if we need to send it off a Nadir Servant or off of, like, Dogmatica Punishment, we can. We can plus off of it to get our Ecclesia back again. And, yeah, it's great for what it is. We're on 2 Ixies. We're on the Constellar Pallades because, theoretically, with 2 of the trap monsters, we can summon it. Never went into it once for the entire tournament. There were moments where I could have, but there were just more optimal plays to do, so we never summoned this. Crooked Cook, we got it off once, chat. We got it off once, and it was the funniest thing in the world. Just as soon as Buzzsaw Sark came down, my opponent literally said out loud, "Fuck, I'm getting cooked." And it turned out to be the game-winning shot for that match by attacking direct with Crooked Cook. But also a neat interaction we did have. I was trying to bait out some stuff for my opponent in that match, try to get the OTK. They had Salic, I think it is, face down, the Imperm for tier limit. And I had Cursed Eldlin. So I activated Eldlin, used the effect. They did not flip up the Imperm at that point. So I was able to resolve my search, searching for my Eldlich. Then my opponent went and activated the Salic or whatever it was on resolution. I chained my Crooked Cook to destroy my Cursed Eldland, and in a separate chain was able to get more resources off because of Eldland, while Cook was still unaffected. So, I mean, just amazing. Link Spider we went into a lot just so we could go ahead and get our resource engine going with our traps. We actually went into Lina a lot more than I thought we would. Lina, just a great generic link for Eldlich, and then we have our mulligan in Fairship, which we'll send off of Nadir or off of Punishment, and just helps us get our draw, fix our hand, and do whatever. But everybody, that was the list. If you have any changes that you would make to this list, or any ideas that I could do to possibly, like, make the deck better, leave it in the comments below. And until next time, y'all, I love you guys just the way you are, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.